episode 22 of my podcast. My name is Mel Brown and I'm coming to you from rural North Yorkshire in the north of England, where I live with my husband, our 3 daughters and 2 cats. It's New Year's Day, so Happy New Year. You can find me on Instagram as Mel Brown Crafting Podcast and on Ravelry as Funky40, and we have a group on Ravelry for this podcast where you can find knit-alongs, crochet-alongs, chats, that kind of thing. So it's going to be a bit noisy here this morning. I've got up fairly early so that I can get the recording in. We have 8 people in the house today, so it's going to get a bit busy down here. So I thought my best chance of getting this recorded was to come down early. So I'm a bit bleary-eyed. I haven't put any makeup on, which I normally do for the podcast, and there's going to be some coming and going, but we'll see if we can keep it to a minimum. So, Happy New Year. I hope you had a great New Year's Eve. We had one at home, so there's my family, us 5, and my husband's brother's family, so 3 of them. So, it was lovely, and I'm tired now. Stayed up till about 1, I think. So, decaf coffee at the ready. Of course, that's not helping much, but okay. So, let's get started. Where are they now? What happened to the projects that you saw before? So, the garden flowers blanket. I haven't brought that down. It's very hard to see any progress in that. So that's a pattern I kind of made up, bodged, and that there's no real progress on that. But the main thing about that is that I've now decided I'm going to give it to my daughter for her birthday in March. So I mentioned last time that she'd said she wanted it as a bed runner, so I kind of know what size it has to be now. But now I've decided I'm going to give it to her. I haven't said I'm going to give it to you for your birthday. I don't do that kind of thing. If I get it done, then she'll get it. But that is the plan. Let me just pick up the cat who's ambling down here to say hello. Hello. So that's the plan. So I've got a deadline on that now. So that's going to become a priority at some point. My memories blanket, likewise. I've done something on it, but not a lot. Nothing that you can see. But those are my 2 works in progress. Also my Opus 400 socks that I'm doing. Those I haven't, I would say they're probably in hibernation right now because I'm just not enjoying sock knitting. It's a real strange one because this time last year I had 3 socks on the go, 3 pairs, and so yeah, it's funny how things change, isn't it? I will go back to them, but just not right now. So that's my first 3 works in progress. The 4th one is the exclamation shawl. So this one, I didn't remember to put the marker in last time I showed it to you. But I think it was, this is a great big long Tunisian crochet thing in a shape your swirl, so you can see the colour changes. I think that I was up to about, no, that's my, yeah, that's the marker. This is the find a stitch when you can't find it marker. I was up to about here, so I haven't done an awful lot. I mentioned last time, I mean, that kind of, I don't want to finish it because I want to have it still fresh in my mind when I come to teach it in February, but I also don't want to not have finished it in time. But a friend of mine suggested that I finish it, block it, and then start a kind of sample to show the class, and possibly in a thicker yarn and a bigger hook as well. It's a good idea. So I'm actually going to crack on with this now and just get this finished, get it blocked, and then yeah, I can, you know, just a week or so before I can start a new sample, get the cast on done, because there's no need to show people lots and lots of stitches, but get the cast on done, and I can actually demonstrate the stitches in front of people with a bigger hook, so that's going to be quite good. So yeah, I'm more or less out of the yellow and into the pink. So this is a shape you swirl, and the colourway is Sherbet Rainbow, colour 768. So it's going to go fully pink, and that's going to be a lovely way to finish it. So yeah, it's a long project, but to be honest, I picked it up again this week and started again, and I really missed it. It's very hypnotic. It's very I don't know. It's very repetitive. So yeah, it's good. I like it. Okay, so that's my first work in progress. Okay, so that is actually all of the Where Are They Nows. The 2 blankets, the socks and the exclamation shawl, that's the only ones you've already seen. So let's look at the new projects on the block. A Christmas Eve Hookalong. Did you take part? There were about 13 people who were going to. We've had quite a bit of chat, so if you're interested in having a look at that. This was people making a pair of crocheted socks. A lot of us making our first pair of crocheted socks. Knickers, there it is. I was using this book, and I thought I might work my way through them and just give them all a go. So I started off with the basic sock, and there's a pattern on my Ravelry on it for if you want to have a look at what the pattern's called. And now I apologise because I've been wearing these for 2 days, but here they are, 1, 2. And the sock blockers are in the office, and my nephew is asleep in there. And although I managed to nick a few things out of there, like my computer and a few other bits and pieces, I didn't think to get the sock blockers out. So there they are, there's one and there's the other. Now I did the same thing that I quite often do with knitted socks, which is I went busy in a way with the gradient yarn at the back and forgot that of course at the front you're going to get this sudden change, but that's okay, I don't mind that. And there we go, there they are. So I did the first one on Christmas Eve and Christmas Day, and the second one took 3 days, so it was 5 days to make a pair, which I thought was really, really fast. If I really concentrate on a pair of knitted socks and don't knit anything else, I can probably do them in 2 weeks. Excuse me. So that was really fast for me. But there's a downside. This stitch is an extended single crochet, or if you're in UK terms, an extended double crochet. And that's on the sole of the foot. And when I'm wearing them in shoes, I don't like it. I don't like the feel of them. You could feel the texture and it's just too much. The first day it was certainly like that. The second day I felt a bit better about it and I wasn't so bothered by it. So I'm going to try and see if I can make them work. But it was very difficult to tell how far to knit before I started the decreases of the toe, and the second sock was shorter for sure. So I was going to frog it back and to the decreases and do a few more rounds. Then I thought I'll just try them out first, and actually they're okay now. Oh, hi Clyde. They're okay now. So I think probably I won't get around to frogging them now, particularly as if I don't find them very comfortable, they're not going to get an awful lot of wear. So I don't know, the jury's out. Have you crocheted socks? Tell me what you think, if you've ever worn them. So I thought, well, okay, what I need to do is to do a different stitch, but I was very disappointed to find that pretty much every sock in this book uses the same extended single crochet for the sole. So I'm very disappointed with that. So what I'm going to do is, on the thread on Ravelry, a lot of people have shared what pattern they're using, and I've looked at a lot of those. So I'm going to just wait a little while until people have finished theirs and said they like it or whatever. The fit seems to be a bit of an issue so far. A lot of people have posted that the fit doesn't work, they've had to frog it a couple of times or whatever. So lots of issues with crochet socks: the fit, the texture, how thick they are. I know that's potentially an issue, whether they'll fit in normal shoes. But you know, the big plus is they're very quick. So let's see. I will make another pair, but I'll wait until I see what a pattern that seems to work well. Forgot to say, I made those in Zalbaball 100. So you might be familiar with Zalbaball, the Zalbaball Crazy, various other types, but this one has got a slow colour change. So the other Zalbaballs are quicker. I'm just looking around for an example, but this is what's left. It took me 67 grams to do the 2 socks. So if I'd have done them both the same, probably more like 70, which is pretty similar to what I use in a pair of knitted socks. And I used a 4mm hook because if you watched just before Christmas you'll have heard that I tried to get a 3.75mm. Our yarn shop doesn't stock them. And it's funny because my my next big project wants a 3.75 as well. Strange. Anyway, so sorry, that's finishing off on that. Now then, the next project to talk about is the Lefty. So this is a Martina Baim pattern, and if you're a regular viewer you'll know I love Martina Baim's patterns. I think they're so elegantly written. Well, this one is no exception, and if you saw any of the Vlogmas you'll have seen me going on about this because I love it. Here it is. So you start off small and you've got a background colour. I chose to go with a neutral, which is most unlike me, but that's because I wanted to make these colours really shine, and they do. So you do these petals in leftover yarn, leftover sock yarn, only a tiny amount, so you can see at this end. Still very little at this end because you're only doing 2 long rows, and then there's a little short row petal at the end. This is one I did last night at New Year's Eve. Now the lights were low, but I could tell that it's a variegated yarn, sorry, a striping yarn, and I could tell it was red here, and then I could tell it was going very pale at the end, and I wasn't sure if it was going to stand out from the cream at all. But actually I think it looks lovely. It's another variation on how they look, because I had one earlier on that had some white at the bottom, and I thought that's not going to stand out from the petal, from the background, but it's all just more variety. It's lovely. So I think I worked out that I'm 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, I'm 18 petals in, and the sample shawl has not 29, but you can do any number you want, and I think I'll just keep going till either I get chronically bored, which is not on the cards to be honest, or it's big enough, because I've actually got 2 skeins. The background yarn I bought specifically for this, sorry, I'm going to find the at Yarndale, which is our wonderful local yarn festival in September. It's this, and it's superwash merino sock, 365 meters per 100 grams, so I guess it's fairly fairly thick. I've got 2 skeins, so you know I can just keep going till I'm bored really. So I've got my little bag of next up scraps. Sorry about the crinkling, and tons more to go at. So it's just such a lovely project. Really enjoying that still. Okay, my next and final new whip is the Echo Chamber Mystery Crochet Along. So, spoiler alert, if you haven't done yours yet and you don't know what it looks like, then you need to fast forward a bit. So, this is a Mystery Crochet Along run by the Shawl Project, and it started on Boxing Day. And I'm using Fibre Space Fairy Wings, which is actually the recommended yarn. It's in the colour Lagoon, and I'm not using the recommended yarn for the main thing. I'm using Beehive yarns in the ordinary base, Rooftop Witches. So really loving those colours. So here it is. You ready? Yeah, I'm not sure I am. There it is. So it is actually really drapey and soft. I love the colours. The lighter colour is the Fibre Space. I don't like the way this has come out, and this is my fault. They say, you know, you can carry the yarn up any way you want, and I don't like the way I've done it. But this is, the Fibre Space is largely silk and lots of mohair, and I don't really, I had a little episode of trying to frog a few stitches and it wasn't very good, and I don't want to risk frogging anymore, so I'm going to leave it as it is. So that's the only thing I don't like, and that's my own problem, my own fault. But the rest of it is lovely, and then what's Tuesday today, I think. The next clue, the next part of the pattern comes out tomorrow. So quite excited about that. What am I using? I'm using a 5mm hook, which is probably the recommended hook, which is a nice change. And yeah, really enjoying that. I have no idea obviously what it's going to be like. Very exciting, my first mystery cal of any kind. So, very good. Fun. Okay, that's it for works in progress. So I have 6 current ones. 3 of them are hanging on from last year. 4 of them. And only 1 that's not currently being worked on. Because at the end of the year I pick up all my old projects and either work on them or frog them. The socks, I know I'll get back to them. Socks are something I always come back to, so I'm not worried about them. I just need to get a few other things out of my system first. Okay, something new. Well, I did get some yarny things for Christmas. I don't know what you do, but I tend to choose my own Christmas presents from most people. Being a crafter of some years experience, it's very difficult for anybody else to know what to buy for me. So I buy my own stuff. So let's look at what I got. From hubby I got this Grundle Pacific lace. How beautiful is that? 3 of these. These are for my first crocheted sweater, which I'm planning to start. I was thinking I might do it on Christmas Day, but I didn't. It's from this book. So I don't really understand how 3 balls like that is a sweater quantity, but then that's a lot of things I don't understand about life, so I'm not worried about it. So that's what that's for. I'm going to cast that on fairly shortly, I think. I got this beauty from my design partner Linda. How lovely is that? So I haven't unwound it because it's very tightly wound and I know it will never look the same again. I wanted to show it to you before I unwound it, but it's actually 150 grams. And it's the equivalent of 311 meters for 100 grams. So it's quite a thick fingering weight, heavy fingering, I don't know if you'd call that. I've knitted with Wollmeister before and made a pattern called F of S socks, and they are quite sturdy, but the colours are so beautiful. But yeah, the yarn is sturdy and the colours, you know, first morning light in Yorkshire in December is not going to show you how lovely the colours are, but there's blues, there's greens, but they kind of fade in between. There's not direct lines, they gently morph from one to the other. It's going to look beautiful. I'm thinking with 150 grams I don't want to use it a sock. I don't know, meterage wise, I guess that's 460 meters. Actually, it's not that much longer than a standard sock yarn. Don't know what I'm going to do with it. I'm probably going to keep it for a little while, but if you know, remember my sock yarn stash, sorry about my eyes, I'm so tired. If you remember my sock yarn stash from Vlogmas, there's a lot of stuff that will probably fit really well with that. So for shawls and things, don't know, I'm just going to keep it and admire it for a little while. Thank you, Linda. I occasionally teach at Yarn Etc., which is our local yarn shop in Harrogate. Fine place it is. And Fiona there gave all of us teachers a little present at Christmas. So it's this. Less drama, more llama. Little notions pouch, which is so great for me because I've got so many projects on the go. It's nice to have. So I've put in here my this is some T-pins for blocking, but more importantly it's got my 2 darning needles. The one that I use for sock yarn in here is the most important one. So because it's the lefty and I need to run in the ends quite frequently, I'm going to have that inside my lefty bag rather than having one big notions bag. That's great for me. So it's a lovely little thing. And a little Christmas stocking stitch holder, and it's a crochet one. So it's a clippable one, so you can use it for knitting or crochet. I can't get the flipping thing to stay still. And a little mini from Mothie and the Squid, which is here somewhere. Do love Mothie and the Squid. Here we go. See the greens and the blues coming out again. So that one is just a standard sock yarn one. What's the colourway? Sea Glass. So that's really pretty. I don't think I've ever actually... Oh no, I've got one purple mini from Mothie and the Squid that I got given at Yarndale for sort of toes and heels. This isn't going to be toes and heels, it's going to be something different. I'm not sure what, but it is very, very beautiful. So that was a lovely, lovely gift from Fiona. Something else I ordered from my hubby. I have my memories blanket on the go all the time, and I had switched, if you've watched the podcast before you'll know that I'd switched from circular needles to 2 DPNs in a different size, which is not particularly wise, but they sit in the project, and if I haven't finished the square before, when I put it down, I have to put the 2 together, wrap yarn around the edge and through the middle, and then wrap yarn around the edge of the side. It's a bit faffy, so I ordered this needle cozy. I'm sure you've seen these before, but just in case you haven't, DPNs go inside there and it keeps them on. I don't have to do any wrapping and I can pop them off, and of course you know how much I love rainbows, although yeah, that's the right way up that side. So I can't find who I ordered that for, but if I can find it I'll put it up here. Ordered it from, sorry. So yeah, that's a lovely little present I got from hubby, though we never saw it until I opened it. And I also, the beehive yarns and the fibre spates that I got for the mystery cow, those were Christmas presents as well. And another Christmas present from myself was a box of socks. I tried to do the full 12 pairs, but I didn't make it. I ended up with 9 pairs and one that I actually wore in November, so I ended up with 8. But it was still lovely, and I still haven't got through them. This is the box of unworn socks. It's my Curacao socks in there, lots and lots of pairs of socks that I haven't worn yet, so that's still exciting. Still a gift that's keeping giving. Still need to open some of those. I also got from Amanda at Mooland Gifts, I got this. How amazing is that? It's a book cover, so inside there's a book, and it's one without lines in it. And so she's got this piece of felt, and she has couched on the top, stitched on the top, whatever you want to call it, all my ends. I had a quick glimpse of this in one of her podcasts, and I thought, wow, that looks amazing, but she didn't show much of it, obviously because it was a Christmas present, but look at it. Isn't it fabulous? I just love it. So I'm using it at the moment to record 3 happy memories from the day, each day in there. So at the end of the day, just helping me to think positive and to go back and look at positive things. So I'm loving that. She also made me 2 tiny weeny little dragonfly stitch markers. You see that? A couple of beads there for eyes. You might be able to see the purple one a bit better. Let's get that out. The eyes are just so pretty. There we go. So those are knitting stitch markers because you can't open and close them. They're so cute and so tiny. Look how size they are. They're gorgeous. I love macrame, but I really wouldn't do anything that fiddly. My fingers are too long and my nails are too long. So yeah, delighted with those. And finally I got myself a new crochet hook. I want to say it's from Flea Bubs, but my brain's not working particularly well. Here we go. So these were on sale at Yarndale, and I didn't get one, but I bought one from Yarn Etc. That's not looking too good. Yarn Etc. just before Christmas for my stocking present. Oh, hello Pip. It's a 4mm, and I was actually making my crochet socks with a 4mm, so when I got it on Christmas Day I transferred to using it, but unfortunately not for long because it doesn't work for me. I hold my hand and my thumb much further down. Oh, cat! Yeah, the cat jumped on top of my arrangement. Hang on, sorry about that. I hold my thumb much further down, and holding it up here doesn't work for me, which is a real shame because it's such a beautiful thing, but I guess I will re-gift it to somebody else. So that is my Christmas presents. The cracker hats were brilliant. I haven't got footage to show you of the whole family because the big girls didn't want to appear on the podcast. They're 18 and nearly 16 now, so not really their thing. But yeah, the cracker hats went down really well, and the fact the competition didn't happen in the end because nobody felt they needed to take theirs off, so we didn't have a prize for who kept theirs on the longest. So that was great. Last bit of news. Spinuary. I talked last time about possibly doing something where I'm spinning every day in January. Did I mention that, or was it just on the... I think I probably did. Anyway, I want to get back into spinning and the discipline to do that. Well, I say get back into it. I've never really been into it much. I bought some fibre and I've got, believe it or not, 3 standard top whirl spindles and a little one that I've showed you that Linda bought for me, Turkish one, made from a plastic through a 3D printer. So I've got all of these, all this equipment and all this stash. I've got 3 full 100-gram lots, I think, of fibre that I haven't even touched, and I've got 2 that I've started. So I really, really want to spin those, and in order to get better I need to do it frequently. So what I've decided to do is to spin every day in January. So maybe a little, maybe a lot, maybe with some of the fresh fibre, but actually I've spun some of the fibre really, really badly right at the beginning, and I had started to respin it. So just it's a slow process, but just kind of respinning it thinner. So that's quite fun as well. So a bit of both of those, and then of course I need to work with plying it so that I can actually use it. So what I'll probably do is just spin in January, and then in February I'll start thinking about plying it and actually working with it. But there's a couple of other people who are interested in doing Spinuary with me. It's a no pressure, just for fun event. There's no prizes, there's no rules, and one of the people at least who's doing it knows for a fact that there'll be some days they won't be able to spin, but we're going to give it a go. If you fancy giving it a go with us, then please do just put a comment below and take part. I haven't started a thread for it or anything, but you know, if a few people are interested, then I might do that. But right now there isn't a thread for it. But just yeah, just post some thoughts on YouTube or on the show notes. So it's been a quite quick episode because people are starting to move around upstairs, and I'm realising that I'm hogging the front room, so I'm going to move this on. Okay, so finally, Happy New Year. I hope you have a wonderful 2019. I will be back in a couple of weeks to talk more about some other plans. I've got some more time pressured things. The exclamation shawl needs to be done by February, and the garden flowers runner, a crochet blanket thing, needs to be done by March. So I've got some time pressured things on, but they shouldn't be a big issue. I should be able to, well, the exclamation shawl shouldn't be a problem anyway. I really don't know quite how much there is to do on the garden flowers, so I may need to actually monogamise that at some point. Oh, something quick. I just made yesterday a couple of corner to corner C2C dishcloths. I'm seeing my mum in January, so I've made these for her. This is 3 colours held together. Just made those while we were watching TV yesterday afternoon. I've made her quite a few, and I think she's probably running out, so spoiler alert if you're watching, which I'm sure she is. Right, okay, so I'll see you in a couple of weeks. If there's anything I've talked about today, any patterns or anything you want to know more about, down here there is the show notes. So click on that, that'll take you across to Ravelry. If you're not already a member, you can just make up a username and password and get in. And have a look. There's clickable links to all of the people, the patterns, the podcasts, etc., that are anything I've mentioned. And in that thread you can also comment. So if you wanted to talk about something that I've mentioned, the Spinuary or anything else, you can either comment down below here on YouTube, or you can go across to the show notes in Ravelry and comment there, or you can direct message me in Ravelry. And that's it. So if you've enjoyed the video, please click thumbs up, and if you want to hear more, then subscribe, and I will see you in a couple of weeks. Thanks for watching. Bye.